at this place.
I think Resident Evil 9, having obsessively played this game start to finish roughly 11 times since its release, has cemented itself in my all-time greatest games list. But that's my personal list. Is it actually good? So today I will cover everything that I humanly can about this game. The story, the gameplay, the long-term legacy of the game, theories, and really just as many little details as I can, because I think Resident Evil 9 is a game that deserves to be talked about and has cemented itself as a memorable moment in gaming history. Honestly, I don't even know where to begin, so I'll start here. This is one of the few times I've been incredibly and thoroughly engrossed in a game, like completely and utterly obsessed with it from the moment I began playing it. It is a remarkable achievement, really. The last couple times that I've experienced it, really, I can count on my hand. Let me see. God of War Ragnarok, for instance. Psychonauts 2, Silent Hill F, even though that is an incredibly complicated game to even really explain or even get into. And obviously, most of the Resident Evil games that have come out, except for the Resident Evil 3 remake. Not you. Resident Evil 9 would fall into that category for me, which is a game I will probably devote a full 40 hours of my life in a week's span of playing just to experience everything there is to know about it. For starters, which this section will largely cover, is the story. Requiem, at least for me, has been such a mixed bag of a story that I both love and at times truly cringe at. It is, at least for me, the single most grounded Resident Evil story, at least since RE3, the original one, maybe Code Veronica. It is realistic, with great character motivations, and not a lot of MacGuffins that really take me out of the story. That being said, the entire motorcycle chase sequence was fun, but on repeat playthroughs, won't be if I'm going to be entirely honest. No Resident Evil game is perfect. Every single one of them has moments where I immediately know this is going to be a drag. The Ashley sections in RE4, House Beneviento, and RE Village are the most well-known and I think clear examples of that. Requiem is, despite many criticisms it does deserve, has very few of those sections and probably the least since RE7. It is a well-written plot that I believe, and actually gut punches you and really makes you understand the characters who have clear goals in their respective stories. We are going to explain and then analyze. So let's begin. From the beginning, you start playing as Grace Ashcroft, an FBI agent who is tasked by her boss to investigate the murder at the old Wrenwood Hotel, where her mother had died 8 years ago, Miss Alyssa Ashcroft. The inner turmoil for her must be palpable, and the struggle to have to overcome her fear and anxiety about having to go back there and relive those moments must be truly overwhelming. First and foremost, her boss is a dicklo, so let's just get that out of the way. Not only is he sending her to an area she has clear foundational issues that create real-world problems for her, but from my understanding, she isn't given a service weapon, which even being an analyst, you should be given a service weapon. Meaning the gun she has in the beginning of the game is her own personal purchase. Now, in his defense, who could possibly guess a crazy scientist would plant a body in an area with an active crime scene investigation going on, with active police presence, mind you, all in the hopes of specifically getting Grace to come out and be the person to explicitly do the work. No one could, in fairness, but that is one of the few blemishes in an otherwise pretty decent story. Grace arrives at the city, conversing with the police officer about the location where her mind is clearly not in the right headspace.
Hey, are you with me?
Oh, there might be answers inside.
Yeah, sure, right.
Grace must have a million thoughts running through her head, and she can't even seem to focus. Even entering the dark place feels like you're going through the dark recesses of her own mind. Things she kept hidden away for so long, only to be confronted by the reality that this was planned. Someone is watching her. She sees that picture and gets the key with the tensions rising in her as she enters room 204, seeing the sprawled out pictures on the bed of just her. This is all to mess with her, to make it known that 1, she is not safe, 2, that they are always watching and have been for decades it feels, and 3, that she is powerless to really do anything about it because she really can't. She doesn't know who this is and or what they want. They want her to relive a lot of these memories, especially the one where her own mother died. Seeing a picture of her mother, we go back 8 years into the past for Grace, younger, untroubled, seemingly living a far more normal life than before, and with her mother, Alyssa Ashcroft, from the Resident Evil Outbreak games and the survivor of the Raccoon City destruction. They have a typical relationship, although seemingly strained by Alyssa's work at times and Alyssa needing to keep Grace safe at all costs. As when things turn grim, the lights turn off, and Alyssa knows they're coming. They rush out of the room, no time to explain. Grace's worry turns to fear as Alyssa pulls out a pistol and they rush down the stairs, only to be confronted by the peaceful, pretty chill manager, only trying to help. A small reprieve until a hooded man brutally murders him before Alyssa takes action.
It's fine.
Yeah, don't worry. I should have it fixed soon. I just need to find my... No, Grace. No.
And retreats. Grace calls 911, although Alyssa knows very well that this isn't something the police can help with. Grace doesn't know what to do. She has a panic attack as Alyssa tries to calm her down. They share a nice moment as they make it clear the love that they have for one another, despite the incredible danger they're in.
Grace, please know that you are my hope. Never forget that.
What are you talking about?
Just... I love you.
I love you too.
Okay.
Mom, I'm scared.
It's a nice moment that gets undercut by the murderer who kills Alyssa, leaving Grace in a burning room as she, after shock, mind you, mourns her mother's death.
Found you.
That very clear memory brings up many repressed memories, making Grace believe it was her fault. Her inability not to save her mother, but the people she cares about in general. We know it's not her fault. She was young. How would most people react when put in a situation like this? She knows nothing, and she knew nothing. But nonetheless, good people understand duty and responsibility for those we care about. We can't help but understand what Grace feels. It isn't her fault, but feels responsible no matter what because she feels like she feels like she could have done something. She remembers her mother hiding an envelope in the painting. What was she hiding? It must have been something important enough for her to have hid all these years. She finds it, finds her journal. Someone has been following her and she knows it and believes they may strike soon. She wants to leave, but we know it is too late. A CD is there. What could that be for? Suddenly the officer from earlier confronts her. Something is clearly not right. He looks disoriented. He looks as if he's been sweating in the cold rain. His eyes turn and teeth fall out. Grace panics. She doesn't know what this is. He attacks her, and we must escape from this crazed human. We grab the key. Pure panic sets in. No matter how we defend ourselves, he is persistent and violent. So violent he pierces himself in the eye with the poker. We think that is it, but alas, it is not. He bites us. We push him away thinking one of two things. Is he crazy? Is he a bioweapon? You're thinking, am I infected now? We run up the stairs, panic, which happens only a couple times in this game where Grace runs so fast she literally trips over herself, inducing more panic in us as we try to escape these creatures, only to be open prey for them. We finally defend ourselves one last time and finish off this crazed man. What just happened? What is going on? But before we can even think, we see lights, we hear music. This place is supposed to be condemned. Who is here? Grace is afraid, but she knows and has to know who is here and what is happening. It's her duty and her own curiosity. We enter a room, we see what appears to be a man next to a fire. He is calm and incredibly vague.
It hasn't been easy. But after much effort, here we finally are.
Who are you?
I'm the one who planted that body. I'm the one that brought you here.
He grabs his helmet, explaining that Grace is the one he has been searching for. Grace realizes this man has set everything up for her to be here. He stands up and is tall, monstrous looking. He looks almost dead. He goes for her and she tries to escape, and he grabs her and captures her. For us, many questions arise, but we can't focus on that now. We go to our next character, one we know all too well, Leon. It's a crime scene the same day. The rain feels even heavier now. A dead man with strange markings. It's Leon. He talks to someone. They exchange notes. This conversation has taken place many times, it feels. This is the sixth body they have found with the same problems. But the girl has a lead. The same man that took Grace. This man is Dr. Gideon. Leon, though, is out of it. He looks at his hand. Is something wrong, or is he just getting old?
It might be unrelated, but he disappeared near where the fifth body was found. You there, Leon?
Yeah, I'm here.
You okay?
He drives away to find Gideon. Gideon leaves with Grace, with no one seemingly saying anything. As a Frankenstein-looking man has a young girl over his shoulder, should probably say something. Leon, being the only sensible person here, apparently clocks this. Gideon sees him and knows who he is. Finally, a nice lady sees Gideon and the girl, only to get shot with needles before Leon gives chase to the fleeing Gideon.
I'm just taking her home.
We reach where the nice lady was shot, who was a little too nice, and well...
Whoa. Hey, what the hell, lady?
Help me!
You okay? What are you doing?
Not so nice. She turns into a zombie. We give chase only to see Gideon has left a trail for us that we need to clean up. Leon loses him. His hand is acting up again. He removes his glove and we realize it is the same thing that likely killed those other victims. He is told about the Rhodes Hill Clinic before we come back to Grace. Disoriented and hanging upside down, being drained of blood.
What is this? Hey! Help!
Realizing her situation, she panics, but she's trained this time. She stays calm because there is no one there to save her. She needs to be calm. She thinks and sees the IV stand and pulls it down, breaking the glass, using it to cut herself free. She pulls out the IVs and proceeds to swing herself out of the chair. She has no idea where she is, and neither do we, although we definitely have our obvious suspicion. She leaves and sees the building largely dark with many of the lights not working. The ones that do reveal a long hall, or at the end, we must use a fuse to open up this heavy gate. We look around and find a key, using it on the only locked door that is there. We see the fuse, but we can't grab it. Instead, we grab a lighter, using that to light our way through the darkness. We continue our search, seeing the screwdriver in the nurse's station. This place is too quiet. We head there only to see a dead and infected doctor, very recently dead though, and we have many questions, but we lose focus only to realize that a big creature is there, terrifying and towering. She attacks us, and we give a panicked run into the only space we clearly see the light. Our thoughts are racing, and we don't know how to react, to be honest. But for now, we are safe as light hurts her, burns her. We know her weakness. We go through the nurse's station. It's a bloodbath. We see the toolbox, no way to reach it except moving this big tray, although we drop something, and alert something as well. Quickly, we grab the screwdriver and attempt our escape. Seeing our path to freedom, we grab the fuse only to see that we are not alone. We run out of there for our life. We reach the fuse box and escape as the creature burdens in the light. But alas, this creature is persistent. She grabs us and takes us away. The fear Grace feels, believing this could be the end of her life. All those regrets. Leon re-enters the fray with perfect hair, mind you, at the Rhodes Hill Clinic. Upon entering, we do realize this place appears to be the same area that Grace is in. It's empty, strangely enough, until a nurse appears telling Leon that he is expected by Dr. Gideon.
Mr. Kennedy, welcome. Dr. Gideon has been expecting you.
Funny. I don't remember getting an invitation.
Well, he's waiting for you.
Can't have that, can we?
Follow me, please.
The nurse is strange, but nothing out of the ordinary. She is just cold and new to the facility herself. She reveals Gideon treats patients here with experimental therapies. Leon is on guard. He is always on guard. There are a few moments lately to him where he feels he can let up. Waiting for Gideon to doll himself up, he scans the room, only to then see that Code 6 is initiated. What is Code 6? Mass hysteria? The nurse tasks us with following her until she is brutally murdered by a chainsaw-wielding doctor.
I think I want a second opinion.
We defend ourselves as we realize it's not just mass hysteria, it's an infection outbreak. Leon dispatches these now dead creatures before escaping and reuniting with the girl over the radio. We continue our search until we find Grace being taken by this huge creature, and we as Leon do Leon things. Blast his brains out.
Hey, over here.
Grace panics. Her life flashed before her eyes. She tries collecting herself as Leon questions her. She can only answer basic questions, but her mind is clouded and has no idea what is even going on. They get separated. She is fearful. He is calm. He gives her his most powerful weapon, as the questions he has will have to be asked later. Leon sees Gideon. Leon goes in on the attack, but Gideon is ready and stops him, doing some light choking, realizing that he too has the affliction before we cut back to Grace, alone and afraid. But for right now, she must escape. She sees the back door and realizes she needs 3 cube keys to exit, so she begins her search. She enters a dark room, turning on the lights. She sees a dead man in 2 isolation chambers, one with a little blind girl reading Braille from a book. The girl is scared and rather strange, but this entire experience is, in fairness, rather strange.
Is someone there? Oh, I'm sorry if I surprised you. You can't see, can you? Who are you?
Grace struggles to put words together. She, as an analyst, analyzes the situation before she talks to the girl further. The dead body awakens and warns her not to open that cell before dying.
Stay away from that! Are you alright?
Get away!
No, hold on.
The girl goes silent, not knowing who she is. Grace, refocusing, leaves and enters the west wing of the clinic. Doors locked and the only way is through the kitchen. There she sees what is happening. A big monster cutting meat in the kitchen. She soon realizes that not only is she alone, but in danger as there are many zombies all across this clinic. She and Leon and the girl might be the only unaffected people in this building. She continues, eventually finding 2 of the cube keys which fit perfectly. Finding the second forces her to be confronted by Dr. Gideon, who tells her she is special and gives us the first hint that she is needed for Elpis, that Grace may not be who she believes he is. Phase 2 begins as we now begin seeing some changes to bodies before Grace quickly and smartly deceives Gideon, who knows that nothing will stop his plans.
Grace! Grace! Grace!
There's no escaping your destiny.
Grace is able to enter and find the third key, only to be stopped by her lack of reading skills. Skills with a Z. She then goes and finds the girl, whose name is Emily. Emily is strange, but she's just a girl, scared and alone, seemingly isolated for so long that she doesn't know how to act normal. Grace, being alone herself and awkward, can relate to this. She is able to comfort and talk to Emily in order for both of them to escape. If you notice something in the third person, Grace will actually pat Emily on the back, and you can notice Emily smile when that happens. It's a nice little touch there, Capcom. We protect her, and will always protect her, because when we carry her, if we get attacked, Grace is killed, but always drops Emily away from her attacker. We re-enter the area of the third key, only to be confronted by monsters we must kill. This leads us to getting the key, only to lose Emily to the creature that tried killing us before, now regenerating.
Lee, thank you.
Feeling a connection and a duty to Emily to protect her like her mother did before, begins her journey, overcoming her own deep fears to save the girl.
I can't just leave her.
Leon awakens, disoriented and being interrogated by Gideon. Gideon is evasive, prodding in his own way. He knows a lot about Leon and what Leon is possibly thinking, at least in basic aspects. Leon, though, bides his time. He assesses the situation. He knows he has time because Gideon is self-indulgent enough to be distracted.
The answers to your disease.
You know, I do have a question. When's the last time you brushed your teeth?
And clearly wants something from Leon. Leon makes his escape and attacks Gideon, surprised at his ability, it seems, and escapes before Leon strikes harder with a vengeance. Leon converses with the woman. His goal now, confront Gideon in his office. But first, Leon confronts one of the fat boys, only to make him go bye-bye before we inspect the Rhodes Hill Clinic and see what machinations that Grace has left behind. We decide to confront Gideon in his office and come face to face with the continued mutations of the zombies into blister heads. We must enter Gideon's private office, stopping waves of these seemingly unstoppable creatures before descending down the elevator. Here, Leon sees a workstation. The girl he's been communicating with is none other than Sherry Birkin herself, a welcome re-addition to the game. Upon examining the information on the computer, it is revealed that what's been plaguing those deaths are in fact a latent T-virus infection that is also affecting Sherry.
I'm in.
Okay, hit me. Sherry, you're killing me.
I found some information about our illness. Our symptoms confirm a T-virus infection.
Oh, fuck. Well, hey, at least we're in it together, right?
Leon, needing to be strong for her, reassures her of their duty and strength together, while also continuing to uncover more about Elpis from redacted files. Before we continue, we cut back to Grace, who is in the search for Emily in an underground prison of sorts, which also has the makings of a factory of some kind. Here, It is dark and terrifying, with dead bodies of unknown victims laid across the entire area. Knowing the creature is somewhere, we find a lit room where we enter and see Emily in a cell before we go and investigate, finding that in fact these are dead bodies, some if not all afflicted with the T-virus. We find Emily trapped, taken there by the creature in a cell filled with dolls, almost like she is collecting them, and Emily is one of them. Could this be the girl in the other empty cell? We must free her, and in doing so, we must turn the power on in her cell, requiring 3 nodes to turn it on. We have the first and must find the other 2. The more we explore, the more we are hunted by zombies and the creature. She is persistent, almost keeping guard of Emily as we attempt to free her. Seeing more of the facility, we find it filled with large pools of blood. What is this blood for? Is it used in the experiments possibly? Upon finding the last node, we come across an assembly line of dead bodies strung up, being dumped into large pools of blood. Here we drain the pool only to find the compactor machine turning on, forcing us to continue fighting these creatures, knowing our life depends on it. Here you do start realizing the more you play as Grace, that she starts shaking a lot less when aiming as the game progresses. Not just because of the stabilizers, mind you, but because she's getting stronger, more determined, and more battle-tested. She grabs the last node and frees Emily, who is afraid, but calmed by Grace, needing to hurry as the lights all come back on, awakening the zombies as we flee for the only elevator.
Hold on tight.
I'm scared. Why is it so loud?
It's gonna be okay. Just don't let go. Come on. Come on. It's just pinning you down.
We make it out in time, feeling a small amount of peace before we feel the thumping. The creature, she's back.
What's going on?
And she attacks as we open the door and escape with all of our limbs attached, thankfully. Grace, feeling free and peace for the first time in what feels like forever, just breathes because that's all she can do. Emily checks in on us as we must be strong for her. They comfort each other as Emily gives Grace the key. They hug, shocking Grace as Emily feels safe with her, and Grace feels a connection with someone for what feels like the very first time in a very long time. She carries her and makes it clear Emily is coming with her. Leaving and feeling free from terror for what feels like for the first time, Grace comes across a helicopter, and the pilot, named Harry, doesn't know who he is and is protective of Emily. They both realize they do need each other, as he is their only means of escaping. She agrees to get the key while he protects and watches over the girl. Both are desperate, and both feel that they are still in danger despite the relative peace and safety that they have. She enters the building, finding it to be a rather normal living quarters, only to find something is off about the place. She unlocks a wine bottle and finds the missing key needed to open up the area, since there is no key in sight, only to find the room is actually an elevator. It takes her down to a laboratory where she finds strange experiments going on, with humans in tanks with similar liquid and a giant one. This is where they have been experimenting on people extensively. She ventures further, finding the place empty, and the room becoming more and more worrisome. She finds the key and unlocks the door, which is a shortcut to the elevator, only to find Gideon talking to someone named Zeno. Who is this man that he is seemingly working with? And what is he so ecstatic about?
I've done it. I've done it.
He leaves, initiating a self-destruct sequence to destroy all evidence, only for Grace to escape, barely her life. She returns to the surface to see that many of the zombies have escaped the facility and are heading for the chopper. Grace makes it back, forcing her protagonist to leave as quickly as possible. Despite the immediate danger, all of them stay strong, even as the zombies climb onto the helicopter as it takes off, forcing them to crash. Killing the brother and injuring Emily. We go back to Leon, who uncovers Grace has something in connection with Elpis before seeing the helicopter crash, forcing Leon to take action. He sees Grace and a young girl and makes it his duty to go and rescue the two of them. Once out of danger and into the chapel, Leon and Grace reconnect. Seeing the girl injured in a burning building forces the two of them to leave as he intends to protect them.
Can't stay here. That should be the way to the water treatment plant. It's our way out. Let's go. Hey, just don't give up. Take her. Get her safe. Go. Now. I'll keep our friends busy.
The girls escape while Leon fights a heavily mutated bloater enemy and follows once the area is safe. Grace, panicked and worried for Emily, who is losing a lot of blood, rushes her to safety, calming the injured Emily as she gets her to safety, only to realize the creature is still alive and finding the resolve to protect Emily at all costs, and knowing her weakness, intends to finish her off once and for all. In order to do this, Emily must open the ceiling and let the light in by redistributing the power in the lower section, with the creature continuing to give chase.
Why is it so stiff?
Once the hatch is open and the creature is subdued, Grace finishes her immediately.
Finally.
We return to Emily, only to find her completely unresponsive. She immediately tries to wake her, looking for a pulse before starting BLS, basic life support. After trying for so long and giving up hope, Emily, unresponsive, responds, only for her to begin transforming into a mutated monster, just like the other girl.
Ellie! I failed you. Ellie. Ellie, it's me. I'm right here. You okay? You okay?
Grace is horrified and distraught and only wants to save her, Trying to reason with the mutated monster, Leon steps in knowing that the only thing he can do to give her peace is finish her, repeatedly shooting her until she falls. Grace, broken at this point, finding her inability to save anyone, takes the blame, believing it is her fault that caused all this. Leon reasoning effectively that things happen and that all that matters is that they are still alive and must continue.
Family. I wanted to save her.
You don't understand it.
No, I never would have escaped without her. This is all my fault. Again.
Look, I get it. Trust me, I get it. But we're still alive. We have to keep going.
No.
Grace.
Or it will all be for nothing. Grace is dejected. She has no will left at this point. Grace gives up and leaves as Leon attempts but fails to go after her, with his illness rapidly progressing and weakening him. Grace continues on, thoughts of her failure ringing in her mind, only to be confronted by Gideon, who explains that he and a man named Zeno have the answers that she has been searching for. The man Zeno appears. Apparently, I don't know if it's truly confirmed to be a Wesker clone of sorts, who also has a strain of the T-virus in him, telling her that the answers lie in Raccoon City.
Raccoon City. You're the reason for its destruction, but you're also the key to building a brave new world. You're the final piece. Let us show you your true purpose.
We then cut to Sherry, who is also feeling the effects of the T-virus infection herself, reconnecting with Leon, who at this point is going rogue. Government has told the two of them to stop the investigation, forcing them to go AWOL, as he continues on with the mission, wanting to save Grace and uncover what the government and who else wants to keep hidden in Raccoon City. For Leon, he realizes he is going to where it all started. That many things will be brought up. The repressed memories that have haunted him will be revealed.
I'm gonna find Grace. She definitely has something to do with Elvis.
Upon arriving, we see the destruction that the missile caused 28 years ago, seeing, as he says, a city where time just stopped.
It's like time stopped here.
If not for Umbrella, it could have just been a normal city.
Yeah. Now it's nothing but ash and memories.
Continuing further, in an area with a suspicious amount of spider webs, is confronted by a giant spider who wishes to snack on Leon and gives him a great chase throughout the destroyed buildings of Raccoon City. I don't quite know, but I believe the giant spider may have been either an experiment that escaped or a creature that fed on infected people and grew over the course of the 28 years in Raccoon City. We take down the foe only as Leon would and continue our mission to get to where Grace is, which is near the epicenter of the missile strike. We arrive to the walled-off section of Raccoon City, put up after its destruction, which covers most of the center of the city, and that someone was here first. In fact, upon investigating, we come to find that the BSAA were here first, and it is completely deserted. Further investigating, we come to find two things: that the BSAA are headed towards the same location, and that the missile strike that launched 28 years ago wasn't by the government, causing curiosity and doubt and confusion as to authorized the missile strikes. We also see that Leon is being watched by Gideon and Zeno, that whatever happened with the BSAA, they are the cause of it. This also shows the relationship between Zeno and Gideon, showing tension and clearly different power dynamics between the two. Who is this Zeno? Leon continues his journey, needing to blow the gate, as there is no time, and not a lot of means, unfortunately, to go around. He must pick up the detonator, which is separated in 3 areas all across this city section. Entering a warehouse, Leon notes the lack of dead bodies, only for reanimated zombies to rise and strike. Now, I don't think it's well explained here, as they do note that zombies were still active and decomposed after 28 years. Many different theories are kind of being, talked about, but it's likely the missile didn't kill the zombies, and they walled off the area with the highest concentration that they gated off. Or that these were just deceased people, actual dead bodies, that were reanimated due to the newer strain of the virus brought by Xeno and Gideon, due to many of the zombies having the ability to turn into blister heads. The latter theory is probably the way I would go about thinking it. Regardless, Leon makes his way to the roof of the building and collects the first part of the detonator. Seeing the other 2 locations where the parts are, Leon throughout represses a lot of memories here, not wanting to linger with the mission on hand. To him, it's likely a distraction from the objective and a defense mechanism due to the severe trauma and failure he feels, possibly survivor's guilt about the entire experience. At one point with Sherry even bringing up the memories of back then, and Leon dismissing them, wanting to not linger on everything that has happened to both of them. Leon collects the parts, overcoming great obstacles along with various different zombies, some heavily mutated with chainsaws, and reanimated BSAA soldiers who were there still for unknown reasons and murdered by Xeno, and groups that Xeno may be a part of.
Encountered 3 infected and eliminated them. That's correct, sir. Do we proceed?
So the rumors were true? What rumors? The missile wasn't just about stopping the spread. Don't be ridiculous.
Affirmative. Listen up. Our objective hasn't changed. We rendezvous with the advanced party in the center of Raccoon City, then head for Ark. Our mission is to retrieve Elpis. Move out! Man down, man down! Jesus, fuck! Where is he? I'm fucking blind here! Oh, God! Oh, my fucking legs! Get cover! Get cover! Please help me! Holy shit!
Why are they here? Why has the USA branch been going in a very different direction, continuing the plot threads to a degree that were left open in RE8? With the detonator put together and a bike in hand, Leon continues to the center of the city, only to be attacked by Gideon with a rocket launcher and powerful mutated dogs.
The stage just keeps getting better and better.
The two have one final standoff, with Leon being the victor here. Leon arrives near the city center to an old and yet very familiar area. The area that the gas truck hit him and Claire in RE2. Out of gas, he continues on foot to the same alleyway on his way to the RPD, realizing that he must go there and relive memories he hadn't truly thought about and is now being confronted with in a very long time. He remembers his youth, Marvin, and many who have since been long gone before continuing the mission.
It's on you now.
he sees the BSAA have set up shop there, and realizes that Zeno and Grace are there as well. Whoever has taken over clearly knows Leon is there and is toying with him. Zeno. Leon goes to the station, seeing even police zombies still alive and walking. Now, I don't know if this is the exact same one that got attacked by the liquor in the previous remake games, but I have seen some people post it is due to a similar injury and that officer wasn't infected specifically, just killed, but I cannot confirm. Needing to get to the East Wing, we get back the Jack from the previous game, and we enter. Sneaking up on the two, as Zeno explains what Elpis is. It is believed to be Oswald Spencer's final virus, which is also his most powerful, being a mind control virus for those inflicted and infected with the T-virus. So powerful and secret that they launched a missile to hide it, and even had the president in Resident Evil 6 murdered as a result of his potential investigations. Zeno then explains who Grace is, an orphan, an experimental clone with many like her, showing her recordings of one such little clone during a violent outbreak, for many of the orphans had turned into powerful childlike monsters who seemingly only want to kill people. The girl goes through her own trials, fearful of what they have become. Escaping the orphanage and entering a lab where she questions her origins, seeing pods with small little babies before being attacked by surviving scientists who explain she is showing the same symptoms as the others and needing to be disposed of. Grace seeing this, and that many of those girls were created to be like Grace, all of them failed experiments like her. Feeling the pain and anxiety and guilt that all of those girls died just so that they can create her. Even further feeling regret and confusion as her mother isn't her own mother and that it is her. She is responsible for her mother's death. Those girls, and especially Emily, overcome with pure guilt.
So it really was all my fault.
What was?
That mom was murdered and she turned into that thing.
What's done is done. You need to focus on the future.
She even really my mother.
It's time to erase her destiny.
Leon intervenes as Zeno shows his powers akin to Wesker. Not wanting to dilly-dally anymore, Zeno knocks Grace out and sends in a familiar friend in Mr. X to dispatch us. Only this time, Leon isn't a rookie cop and fights back as Mr. X gives chase throughout the police station.
Have fun.
I remember you.
I remember that too.
Free for now, Leon confers with Sherry as he sees Zeno's chopper going to Elpis. Leon, more informed, heads for the Ark. As he does so, he enters Kendo's gun shop, finally fully being confronted with his past head-on. He remembers Kendo, his daughter, and what happened next, deciding he needed to see it with his own eyes. He enters only to find a skull and prescription orders for Kendo. Kendo and many like him trusted him. The police, those who are supposed to protect them, and realize that people like him fail to protect Kendo and those close to him.
Terminate. It's my fucking daughter.
You're a cop. You're supposed to know something. How did this happen?
Those fucking things outside.
they did to us.
I'm so sorry. Never again.
Leon, overcome with guilt, is now filled with resolve, apologizing and knowing that he failed them, but he will not fail anyone else. Never again. This is his final personal push he needed, with a great moment and a great scene. Continuing through to the orphanage, Mr. X, proving that he will always give it to you, does not quit and chucks missiles at Leon until he fights back, forcing a destructive boss battle, finally taking on this monster who haunted him and us so many years ago by himself. Leon goes to the destroyed ruins of the orphanage and subway system in order to reach a point where he is attacked by foliage and forced to climb down into the foliage nest. Here he needs to fight a more mutated form of Plant 43 and enters the underground ruins of this Umbrella facility, which shows the many other corporations that have had a hand in continuing Umbrella's legacy throughout the series. Finding the facility seemingly abandoned, Leon finds Zeno and Grace in the Ark itself before being attacked by Umbrella's special forces, where he fights and pushes through towards the Ark itself. He is confronted by one more survivor of the Raccoon City incident, the Grim Reaper himself, Hunk, who finally confronts Leon, something he seemingly has always wanted to do. The two battle, with Hunk initially wanting to make this a fair fight, restricts himself to only melee weapons until he begins losing, using stealth tactics until he meets his own end. Little tidbit, if you go back there post-fight, you won't find him, as his body has disappeared. Dun dun dun. Leon arrives at the Ark, where Zeno tasks Grace to unlock Elpis, as she's the only one who knows it, as any other password will destroy the facility, something Grace does not know. Leon confronts Zeno and is quickly and decisively overpowered by Zeno, who intends to kill him, until Grace threatens Zeno by killing herself to spare Leon's life before Leon does Leon things and allows the two to escape.
Aren't we fancy?
Don't move! Oh, wait! You still need me, right?
Come on! Grab time!
For those of you who do not know specifically, it is in some files, but generally speaking, the reason why Grace would know and why they've been doing many of these specific experiments is because, especially with blood and T-virus infection, I guess, that they are also able to do not only powers but memory transference, specifically wanting to transfer Grace's memories, quote unquote, since she's the one who specifically knows the password, quote unquote, which is why they've been doing those experiments even after the Raccoon City incident on the many little girls at the Rhodes Hill Clinic facility. And the whole reason why a lot of this even began and started was specifically to get Grace, and them, after about 28 years finding no real solution, ultimately have fully decided to just find and kidnap Grace. Arriving in a waste facility, Grace and Leon attempt to figure a way out, only for Leon to pass out due to the damage sustained by Zeno and his progressing infection. Leon awakens and makes it clear to Grace, who is worried for him, that no matter what happens, that the Ark needs to be destroyed and that she needs to get out of this place alive, wanting her to escape without him. And seeing Leon's resolve, wants to do right and stop the Ark once and for all.
This place. Raccoon City was where it all began for me. When it all happened, I couldn't make a difference. So I am here now.
We can't stop Zeno.
He said something about you having a password. What was he talking about?
I don't know. I'm sorry. Here.
I'm going back. I'm gonna destroy Elvis.
I'm coming with you.
No, you're not.
I don't want any more regrets. Whatever it takes, count me in.
If anything happens to me, you promise you'll end this.
I promise.
The two go their separate ways, with Grace continuing forward in order to open the path for Leon, being confronted by numerous monstrosities, including lickers, in order to continue forth towards the main control room. Playing as her, she's far less scared, more collected, filled with resolve, more so than she previously was. Upon entering the control room, she realizes she can use her mother's files, opens it, and finds an interview Alyssa had done with Spencer many, many years ago.
The choices you've made have contributed to your present circumstances.
Of course. What you sow, you reap. Isn't that the natural order?
So, tell me, Lord Spencer, what would you like the world to know?
The truth.
In the interview, Spencer is defensive, ending the interview before we come back to Leon, whose mission is to destroy the Ark. Although his infection is getting worse by the second, as he starts losing his vision and has physically been pushed to his absolute limit, he makes his way towards the Ark despite him actively dying, only to collapse at the door. Grace sees a file just for her, and it is revealed the interview continued, only to reveal that Spencer believed he was wrong in many aspects about how he conducted his experiments, and even is given a child, a normal child with nothing wrong with her. That is Grace herself, repeating the word hope over and over and over again. Alyssa is asked to hold her, resulting in her being Grace's godmother.
Blind hope.
What do you mean?
Humans cannot predict when death will come for them. This is why they have hope. I was wrong, and I am plagued by guilt. Happiness cannot be achieved at the expense of others. I think that's enough for today.
Why did you accept my request for an interview? Who is that? Is that one of your subjects?
Of course not. She was alone in the world. I took her in to make amends. Is she perfectly normal? Just an average child needing a home. She is my hope.
It is unknown if it was immediate, but Grace does become Alyssa's daughter at some point, obviously. It's just fuzzy, specifically when. That aspect of her backstory is not very well defined or detailed. Yet. Grace sees Leon actively dying and goes to rescue him, going through Spencer's office before arriving immediately at the Ark. Leon being Leon, and Grace filled with the answers and new resolve, goes to finish this once and for all. With Zeno patiently waiting, knowing they had to come back. Leon makes a plan, but Grace has a different idea, with Leon giving her his full trust. Zeno is about to finish Leon only for him and Grace to strike a deal, resulting in Grace doing one of two things, either putting in the correct or incorrect code. First, we'll talk about inputting the incorrect code, which is the bad ending. This results in the facility being destroyed. As Leon buys time for Grace to escape, Leon, finally freed, looks up, hopeful that he was able to save her. Zeno, furious, executes Leon, and looks up at Grace with his dreams all but dashed. This is the bad ending. Well, any ending where Leon dies is bad. The good ending is inputting the correct code and understanding what Elpis actually is, the code being hope. This results in Elpis being released and Xeno misunderstanding the power of Elpis, injecting himself with it, resulting in him losing his powers. Elpis, as Grace explains, is the ultimate antiviral, with the creation of it being used to cure all of Umbrella's viruses. Gideon returns only to realize and somewhat naively believe that Elpis can be used to cause chaos, with the secretive World Economic Order causing anarchy, and specifically anarchy for those who are in power. Xeno fires Gideon, and Gideon murders Xeno before turning on the self-destruct sequence and taking a vial for himself. Leon is injected by Grace and cured of his infection, resulting in him and Grace barely escaping, finding the resolve to bury Umbrella's last known link.
What are you doing, Grace?
Spencer regretted what he did.
Well done.
You promised.
Yes, that I would let him live. Mr. Kennedy, I give you the honor of experiencing my power firsthand.
I'm not sure Elpis is what you think it is. There's nothing special about me. I was never any key. Spencer wanted to make amends.
But you released Elpis. What is it? Tell me!
Leon!
Why? My powers!
Elpis is Spencer's atonement. It's an antiviral.
Amazing. I am humbled by my master's genius.
Your research was wrong. Elpis wasn't a weapon. There was never a key.
Spencer's paper was obviously incomplete. There was no connection between Grace and Emily.
Do you know how much time and money I wasted on this?
Don't you see the genius? With Elpis, all virus-based weapons are useless. The world order would be thrown into chaos.
We wanted a weapon.
Instead, Spencer gave us anarchy. I will carry his torch and bring his vision to life.
You? You and Spencer were a means to an end.
Yet he outwitted you all.
Spencer defied us and paid the price with his life. He was nothing.
You are nothing but an imitation.
It's over, Victor. The Connections is done with you!
We can't let him have it.
Your ignorance is staggering.
It's a cure. Oh, it's working. Leon, it's working. Wake up.
Now, let it all come down. All of it.
Grace, what happened?
gonna go! Grab something!
Grace.
Grace!
Time to bury Umbrella's last skeleton.
The fight is brutal, with Gideon using energy around him, only to seemingly be defeated.
Good riddance. Nemesis. No wonder you're so damn relentless.
Gideon returns, further revealing the strain of the T-virus that Gideon has is in fact a Nemesis T-virus, which allows for more powerful mutations, furthering this boss fight and pushing Leon to his limits. But nothing can stop Leon. Leon finishes him off the only way Leon knows: badass.
This time, you ain't getting back up.
Leon attempts to call Sherry to no avail, before finding Grace as the facility falls apart around them. Stuck and seemingly trapped where they are at, finding that there is no way out, the two decide that they will die together, awaiting their end as the power finally goes out and darkness and hope leave the room. That is until a light shines upon the two of them, and a commando squad appears, revealing them to be Wolf Squad sent in by Chris Redfield to rescue the two.
Leon S. Kennedy?
Depends who's asking.
Alpha, you read me, sir? Yeah, they're safe. I got them. Yes, sir. Mr. Kennedy, I have a message from Captain Redfield.
Sometime later, a full military armada is there, cleaning up the mess where Leon, finally cured, talks to Sherry about their success and having a cure for her once he arrives. Grace and Leon talk one more time, with Grace feeling regret for not saving Emily, with Leon believing there is a chance that Emily is still alive, as he didn't hit any of her vital organs. Leon leaves a hopeful Grace, removing his clothes and seemingly putting on a wedding ring? Don't quite know. The fallout from this has led to worldwide panic and outrage, as investigations are reopened and conspiracy theorists being proven correct again. The government denies any and all activity, as we finally see Emily rescued from the Rhodes Hill Clinic. The end credit scene shows that Grace has since adopted Emily, as she has now been cured, giving her eyesight back, and she tells Leon about her growth and development. The last scene is of an unknown military squad retrieving the package before ending Resident Evil Requiem.
Remaining BSAA forces have been neutralized. Retrieving the objective before they send in the wolves.
That is a lot to unpack, and I'll explain the good and the bad and some theories in this next section. First, I always wanted a setup like this where it does harken back to a more grounded city and upscaled approach that we really hadn't had since the remakes, but at least in terms of the mainline games, at least since Resident Evil 3 or the remake of 1. 7 and 8 were different kind of variations of horror, I guess you could say. Like, if RE7 is more like, let's say, The Hills Have Eyes and Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and RE8 is more akin to the Universal Studio movie monsters and, well, gothic horror. The RE9 is trying to give the style of police and investigative horror, akin to like Silence of the Lambs, The Zodiac, mixed in with some obvious apocalyptic movies. Resident Evil's mainline games had gone in such a just a much more worldwide approach and tried different things in terms of setting, so this to me is more of a welcome back to the old. Truly, remember before Chris and Sheva shot rockets at Wesker in a volcano, the first game is literally just a special police unit going to a mansion that uncovers various secrets of the Umbrella Corporation. This feels far more connected to that than any of the previous games really in the last decade. The Raccoon City section to me is more so fan service, but also a real closing of the door on Raccoon City since we hadn't really gone there since 1999 with Resident Evil Nemesis really. I mean, if you're going to celebrate 30 years of Resident Evil, then you should probably go back to where it all started. I know people have issues with it and the fan service in general, where Capcom is really playing up the nostalgia. I do have many gripes myself with that, considering the company is and has extensively pushed the remake culture so far that we are likely to see maybe a Resident Evil 5 remake or 6 sooner rather than later. It is an issue, but one that I knew fully well was coming, and one that was both necessary in many ways, and one they didn't hide that fact at all. If it is a problem, then don't get the game. They made no mystery about it, where they were going to go with RE9. Sometimes people struggle to separate their own personal feelings and their objectivity. And hey, there's no shame in that. I literally do it all the time. And in this case, there is reason to overlook a lot of the nostalgia that they play into. And the reasoning is that this is a great game and a product for the purposes of celebrating 30 years of Resident Evil. And really, it kind of gives us a potentially good ending arc to Leon's character if they don't bring him back. Don't get me wrong, I hope they will. I want the memes to continue, but let's face it, he's 50 years old, at least in this particular universe. But in terms of analyzing the story moment to moment as best that I can, this is both a good and admittedly a story that you do have to suspend one's disbelief in quite a bit. That being that there are moments where logic is eschewed or just swiped away for progressing the story, even if most people would take a different course of action. For example, and for starters, Grace, who is a fantastic character and goes through such a really deep traumatic arc herself, although I think the arc is stunted once we get to Raccoon City. That being said, she is in any likelihood would have never and should have never gone on this assignment by her boss, who many online jokingly feel is the real enemy of the game. She would have never gone on something seemingly as important as he makes it out to be if your best agent or analyst would be compromised or distracted, as she could be, and ultimately was. She would never have gone on something seemingly as important as he makes it out to be, if, and especially, your best agent or analyst would be compromised or distracted, as she could be, and ultimately was. Once we get there, Grace, going through her personal development, makes no attempt to call her superiors, who might find it interesting that there are many photos of her, and clearly whoever put the body there wanted her there. It is things like that, the more you think about it, it does make the story lose some sense and lose some steam, which is also why I personally praise the characters and their development, because it is real development, and development that is foundational to their characters. Most of the previous Resident Evil games do have this, but not in such an intimate way that I think it is really a part of their story, or at least in a more believable manner. Cliche is probably the word, not in a very cliched manner. This is not to say it ruins the story. Again, suspension of one's disbelief is needed for most, if literally not all stories, where there are clear logical gaps and some of them can contextually be explained. For example, maybe Grace in that sense is too traumatized to clearly think due to her extensive anxiety, which has been in full force throughout this entire game. Maybe that's the reason. Or maybe that this is for her, or maybe that this to her is far more personal, and including her superiors is not a good course of action. Who's to know? Mostly it is up to our own interpretation of the story, thankfully, which for me is usually a good indicator for telling a story, giving us our own means to interpret the plot and our own means to come up with our own reasoning for why things play out the way that they play out. I lay this out as it's not my intention to critique negatively every single aspect of this story, but more or less give different ideas as to why they chose to go in that specific direction, because outside of that, largely the Renwood Hotel section, one would expect it to go. Grace isn't a strong character. Physically, in the very beginning, at least emotionally and psychologically, she's not very built up in that sense. She is scared and clearly bothered by the hotel and the history that she personally has with it. Sometimes going back to traumatic places can make people revert back to how they were before in that time and place. Grace was scared and panicked, so it would make sense for her to act in that particular way, especially when a seemingly normal police officer then turns into a zombie, and then a strangely large human who looks like Frankenstein's monster wants to get you. Everything in that hotel is an example of a great opening and a good start. Now, will that age well? Not necessarily, but for a tutorial level, it's relatively short and sweet, and is necessary for those who have not played this game, or Resident Evil games for that matter, just to get an idea of what you're going to be getting into. It's a fantastic mood setter and creates an aura of real mystery. Leon's introduction is also very good. It is a total tone shift, and when we get to his section, we are far more prepared and ready. For instance, if you knew nothing about Leon, you would immediately get contextual clues that he is an agent of some kind, one that is probably higher than Grace, and one that doing some serious investigative work on the deaths of Raccoon City survivors. You would see as an older man, although aging like fine wine, who has also the same affliction going on with all these people who are recently deceased. This makes it even more personal. You see he is resourceful, skilled, incredibly physically intimidating at times because of what he can do, what he's trained to do. This makes him something very different, very special. But for those who know Leon, we do know how special he is. I mean, this fool rescued the president's daughter for Pete's sake. But we do realize something is wrong, as we know that he is strong, that he is calm and collected, but that he is too afflicted with the same virus that killed these people. We can see Leon needing a second and realize that this makes him vulnerable, because we truly don't know what his timetable is before things get worse and he potentially dies, or even how he got it. More on that later. Point being that when we get to Leon's section, it's a real tone shift from fear to power, which isn't always done well, but it's done very well here. It also sets up a timetable, a bit of mystery, intrigue, really what is going on here, in a much more believable way than, say, Resident Evil Village, for example. By the time he sees Grace and gives chase to Gideon, Leon's section, future sections always make me feel like I can do just about anything. The more you play, being able to chuck projectiles, just his shooting ability, and the choice to give us this Requiem gun are all icing on the cake for me. As tutorial levels to flesh out the characters and gameplay, as well as story, I don't think they really could have nailed it any better. It just leaves me wanting more. Now, this sets up the first half of the game incredibly well in terms of narrative and giving us a real idea about how gameplay works. When we get to the Rhodes Hill Clinic, that is where the game reaches its absolute best part. Seeing Grace being drained of blood gives us a sense of confusion as to why she is being drained of blood, which I don't know if the game ever really explains it well enough, other than to contribute to the whole blood thing, or to just to test her in general, seeing if, maybe the blood transference thing can, they can give it to Emily or someone else to actually have the memories so they don't need Grace anymore. It's kind of complicated and really confusing, and that needs to be fleshed out much better. Her escaping the wing of the clinic is really interesting. The clinic itself has a really long history based on notes dating back centuries even, although there were incidents that took place in the 60s, and I believe it's an actual Umbrella facility that Gideon purchased sometimes after Umbrella's fall in 2004. And the destroyed wing Grace is in looks like it's just in complete disrepair. Likely has something to do with the large creature Mary, possibly leaving her in that section because of her strength and also as a deterrent for Grace to escape. Although documents make it very clear she is an escaped experiment and was to actually be captured. This is a great opening playable section for Grace, mainly for stealth, which is absolutely necessary for the game, more so over on harder difficulties. Leon arriving to the clinic from a different perspective is a good dynamic, especially once Code 6 is launched, rendering all patients and staff as zombies, likely to deter Leon and slow him down. Again, every time we play as Leon, until we get to Raccoon City, it always feels like we learn new things and or face new enemy types. It feels like some real progression. Same with Grace especially, which is also why when we reach a point in Raccoon City is where the game feels like it stagnates for me personally. When Grace and Leon meet, their quick exchange before they get separated, I always find a little interesting every time I see it. Leon is to the point, Grace is just collecting her thoughts, and the two really only want one answer that neither knows the answer to. Why Grace, and what is important about her, neither of whom will know really until after the clinic. I like it because it nags the question, even throughout the entirety of the clinic. Now I'll skim through the clinic because it is pretty straightforward, and again I think it just makes sense, but I think it's very integral for me to be able to explain a bit of the backstory of the clinic. Mainly just information that I could find through the documents or just some contextual details that maybe some people have found. Effectively, it seems like once Umbrella went down, that Gideon and the connections, namely and more specifically Zeno, continued the cloning experiments, with Emily being the most recent example of this. They wanted to make Grace, who would have and know the code that would secure the Elpis, transporting the babies from the Ark to Rhodes Hill, using the various prisoners and patients as guinea pigs for the T-virus strains that have infected Leon and Sherry, and harvesting the blood in order to further experiments on children and eventually mutating them, a la creating the monsters, just like Mary. The virus that Leon and Sherry and possibly others, again on that later, being a latent form of the T-virus, and none of the previous vaccines could fully exterminate, but only quell, meaning that over the decades the virus mutated to the point it started overtaking the antibodies within human beings and slowly killing them. It's also partly a mutated form of the T-virus that Gideon has been infecting people, possibly reasons as to why they retain aspects and certain aspects of their personality, which can really be haunting at times, seeing these zombies do their jobs or the patients walking around about, which further research actually shows that two opera singers themselves being actual patients. I always thought it was strange that the place had two opera singers on staff, but as patients it kind of makes a little more sense. Still just a real dick to fight. The blister heads are interesting, a further mutation just like the crimson heads in the original RE1 remake, but once the body cells die, the result creates a unique cellular revival and perforation that creates the giant tumor where their heads are, actually reviving the dead T-virus cells and giving them super steroids. The Jackson brothers being the other notable ones, those are the two just huge zombies that are some of the most difficult to fight, who tragically were there to find fulfillment, and ultimately as a result of the procedures done to them, gave them hunger instead, making them large and in charge. Now, the entire Rhodes Hill Clinic, this section is by far the best part of the game, from story to gameplay, that we will specifically in detail discuss later, and if the game was far more geared in this fashion, then this would have been a perfect game. But alas, this is not a perfect game. I wanted to end the Rhodes Hill Clinic section talking about the creature and the sad story of Mary, or technically I think her name is Marie. She was just like Emily, a clone trapped and used for experiments just like Emily. Both were given the mixture of blood that they had been creating and experimenting on from the said experiments, with Emily going blind as a result and Marie gaining strength but showing signs of instability, which resulted in her mutating into the monster. Documents, mainly in the underground prison, show that she was to be captured, which is why they have those exceptionally powerful UV lights all across the facility, especially in the underground. But unfortunately, she took care of the staff, wink wink, which is also why she has her nest down in the prison cells. It's tragic and really understandable the lives they live, that Emily would have strange reactions as she does.
Marie. One day she just disappeared.
I'm sorry.
When it happened, I was happy it wasn't me. Is that bad?
I'm just gonna keep looking around.
I'll even go as far as to say that the Rhodes Hill Clinic is one of the best sections of any Resident Evil game I've ever played. Whether it's the RPD in both RE2 games, the Village in RE4, Castle Dimitri in Resident Evil 8, it absolutely is up there, making it one of the best sections ever in Resident Evil history. I do think the motivations and the villains, I believe, are probably one of the biggest letdowns. Not necessarily that they were bad villains, mind you, but very confusing and underwhelming in so many aspects. Gideon is fine as a villain, but teeters occasionally on insanity and calm precision in other cases, and his means of using Grace are kind of confusing because she's both the key to everything, but he literally puts her in harm's way all the time. Same with Xeno, who I swear is just Wesker, but way more likely a Wesker clone who isn't as tolerant to some of the virulent strains as Wesker physically was. Because logically, if one was as smart, having all of the Umbrella databases that they have, I mean, they could have found the answer and not created a whole 30-year experiment replicating girls in the hope that the virus transfers information that one may have the answer to, which I don't even quite know how they determined Grace was the one specifically to know. That is a little confusing as well. Why Grace? What makes her special? By all accounts, all the other girls are normal until they are experimented on. If I had any issue with the villain's motivations, it would really just be this. For someone as obsessed with fulfilling his master's plan, I would have found it more compelling if he knew the entire time and did it as a middle finger to the connections, like, oh, I knew this is an antiviral, ha ha ha. Like, that would have been like a real, interesting kind of reaction, but they didn't. They could have given the character more depth, but alas, they chose the more anarchy kind of way. The villains, they're not terrible, they're not bad. They are acted well and are believable, but they're no different to the bad and silly villains that Resident Evil can be known for. Not to mention too, like, you didn't want to check Grace's pockets for her CD with the answer that she had literally the entire time. I don't know how many opportunities and chances you actually had to be able to take it and then process and see what was on those files, but you literally didn't do that. The answer was right there, and they just didn't do that. Once we get into Raccoon City, the game becomes a mixed bag for me personally, with many different thoughts on this section of the game that I think are all right and wrong, and I'm probably in the middle of it. You know, there's two sides to every argument. People love this section of Raccoon City, a lot of people hate it. I'm kind of in the middle. For starters, going back and seeing what it even looks like, it's really something. Nostalgia glasses and all. It is still incredible to see and relive these memories that have been building up for decades. Fans like me, where my first game ever was the original Resident Evil remake game, and then I came back and played the original Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. Going back to Raccoon City, I just felt like that was for us, and it was kind of nice. But I think it was also good for those who are casual fans and haven't played the early games to at least kind of feel the memories and the history that those games created. Now, in fairness, one can overdo it, and Requiem at times does overdo it, but that is arguable whether or not it was excessive or not. For example, the Kendo's gun shop scene, which is a great and necessary moment for a Leon story, was probably unnecessary in the way they went about it. Fair enough, Capcom could have done it in a way without needing flashbacks and taking a whole 2 minutes to get the emotion out. But I think it works, and it works well, and gives Leon fulfilled motivation and a constant reminder for why he does what he does. The biggest problem with this section is largely the backtracking, and the way the game goes about backtracking. It's not quick and concise, like the Rhodes Hill Clinic mainly, because it is just a much larger area, and honestly, they did not go enough into the nostalgia angle, at least from my perspective, to warrant that. There are many moments where Leon is so stoic that he at one point during a conversation where Sherry is reminiscing that he doesn't even want to talk about it. He just kind of shuts her down a little bit from putting the nostalgia goggles on for a moment. It's all understandable in this situation, but considering the entire overall case that's going on right now and what this game means, Leon should have talked about how it made him feel and the ramifications of it all. But then again, that's just me. I'm in the middle. I like the nostalgia, although I can see how people absolutely don't like how aggressive or overboard they went with it. That being said, story and characters aside, the fans do deserve to know and take in as much as they can. And in that sense, that is what the game was missing, I think. And I think a big reason why the Raccoon City side of the game seems to be more of a drag aside from the gameplay. The motorcycle section and the side flashback to the little girl in the orphanage, which by the way, I think is the earliest the game as a playable section has ever taken us back, by the way, are really, if I'm going to be brutally honest, just complete drags. Look, it's great and cool with your first playthroughs, but and this is more specific to survival horror games and for those survival horror fans, these sections just completely drag, especially the flashback sequence. Truly for those who like to do speedruns or want to complete this game in under 4 hours, you automatically, for the latter, have to give this section 10 minutes by itself. That is how that section feels. It's more on pace with House Beneviento in Resident Evil 8, which again, in that game, is a fine section the first time you play. But once you play over and over and over and over again, which is a key factor specifically for survival horror games, which is the replayability of it all, those sections make the game worse. The lab is where the game is an absolute mixture for me. It is better, I think, at least a little bit better than the Raccoon City section overall, but probably because it is short and we get our answers mainly. And I think it has a very good ending and continued character progression and payoffs for everyone. In particular, Grace, who changes so much throughout the game, growing stronger, more determined, and filled with resolve to do what is right. The game itself, if you watch closely, when in the beginning of the game, she's constantly shaking when shooting her gun, she's far more cooler and calmer when firing, even against lickers in the latter half of the game. Leon himself grows, and if I'm going to be honest, it does feel like a potential real closing door moment, at least for me when it comes to his story arc, especially since Raccoon City started it all, and it feels like a real closing door on that chapter of his life. One thing I did want to touch on before going into the gameplay aspect, which I think really messed with a lot of aspects of people, is the Spencer retcon, because after having the dust settle and putting some thoughts to it and hearing different opinions, and this is more so me kind of thinking about it and understanding a bunch of different perspectives and points of views, I feel like it's a bit of a mixed bag. I would personally consider it more of a proper recontextualization that isn't specifically a retcon or even seemingly what it could be, because personally on the surface it does seem like that Spencer is someone who is deeply saddened and wanted to make amends for his past actions, going as far as to create the ultimate antiviral cure, which that specific thing itself might more or less be a retcon, because Resident Evil 6 does exist, and that point of the game, or at least Jake's storyline, Jake and Sherry's storyline, was because of his blood containing specific antibodies that could fight off most, if not all, diseases in Resident Evil 6. But that aside, it does beg the question, does Spencer actually want to make amends? Because, as we know, the video recording of the interview was well after the Raccoon City incident, and well before 5, where he is murdered by Wesker, who still has beliefs that he is to be a god. Is this a real sudden change, or more so Spencer being smarter than the others and wanting to maybe manipulate the situation to his benefit? For instance, because the creation of the Elpis antiviral itself, it could be seen as more of a middle finger to the connections and groups that use bioweapons, especially since the connections are a large reason for Spencer's downfall. If there was more to the interview, then possibly it could be a true retcon, but we don't know officially. Especially reading Grace's report, even she makes the point that Spencer was basically a senile man, or that she basically said that people believe Spencer was growing to be basically a senile old man going back and forth. She doesn't even conclusively say that he had this aggressive and specific change of heart. She only posits it specifically as a question. And that's why me, playing all of these Resident Evil games, I just don't fully believe that Spencer is going to have just such a change of heart that it completely retcons his entire character and meaning. Although in fairness, I could absolutely be coping, who knows? Because most people when they play this will immediately believe that it is a full retcon. And who knows, again, maybe Spencer's story isn't completely over. Resident Evil 10 is at the very least been leaked to be in development, so who knows if they're going to be continuing that aspect of the storyline. Now, gameplay is where this game is making its money. Here I intend to explain the general gameplay of the characters, maybe some tips, and generally a good, or at least halfway decent playthrough on modern mode effectively, and I will also explain in detail, to a degree, how each section should be played, as well as the differences specifically in the game modes. First, this is a game that has two different styles of gameplay. One is pure survival horror by most definitions of survival horror, except for the aspect of tank control, controls. This is Grace's section. She is forced to fight far more powerful enemies that are way stronger than she is. You have to plan strategies in order to secure her own safety, and I think the biggest aspect, which is item management and limited supplies. Taking away the 2 tutorial sections, Grace really has 4 playable parts in this game, the majority of her gameplay taking place in the Rhodes Hill Clinic, where she has 3 of her sections there, 1 in the clinic, 1 in the underground prison, 1 in the water pumping station, and the final one is in the Ark. The other gameplay is pure action, which feels at times like a bit of an understatement, especially once you get the unlimited rocket launcher. This is Leon's section, which outside of the tutorial section, which kind of in fairness feels like the entirety of the Rhodes Hill Clinic part, he has 3 sections here before the rest of the game effectively takes place in Raccoon City and the Ark. I'll explain each section by section, what I think is generally the best way to play each part, maybe giving a general strategy, more of a guide really in how I think to optimize one's gameplay, and then explain the differences between the difficulties after. Now first, some weapons. Grace has knives which can damage but are best used as defensive weapons, the Requiem for her early sections, and a machine pistol unlocked with the bonus content that she can use. Her regular pistol is the best, as the machine pistol is too erratic and eats up way too much ammo to be used properly. Unless you have infinite ammo, then go guns a-blazing. Leon has numerous weapons, some he finds and buys, many different variations of a handgun, shotgun, Uzi and or machine guns, and rifles. Unlockable guns are variations of these weapons, but better, including an old-timey pistol that is just a blast to use, which uses rifle bullets. Oh, and who could forget his axe, the best part of the game. That is very strong, although you do have to sharpen it if it breaks, otherwise you can't use it. You do get the Mortal Edge from Hunk later, and unlock it in the menu to buy it as well. This section is more or less going to be played as if you're playing in either casual or modern difficulties. We will start with the tutorials. They're easy, they're standard. Grace's section in the beginning, make your way to the Renwood Hotel. It's simple, make your way there and enter. There's a picture with a key telling you to go to room 204. Progress through the hotel and go to the 2nd floor and pick up the wire cutters on the pool table and enter the suite section, making your way to 204. Go to the bed and look up specifically to find the picture of Alyssa, which will take you to the quick flashback sequence where you just basically have to follow Alyssa around.
Mom, wait!
Grace, come on, keep moving.
I'm coming!
Coming back, you must find what Alyssa hid in the wall by going downstairs and inspecting the picture, getting her diary and a disc. The officer will arrive and you must escape him by holding down your action button while maneuvering as to not get shot. He is erratic, although getting shot will not kill you, even in harder difficulties. Make note, if you are playing Insanity, he will fire immediately first, so just be careful. Defend yourself and get bit before rushing upstairs to the emergency exit. The zombie is not too fast, but don't lollygag. Then we go to Leon's section. It is simple. Clear out the zombies and make it to the other side. Or you could just rush through, it doesn't really matter. All you have to do is just make it to the other side. On New Game Pluses, you do get the BSAA crate and extra points, so it does incentivize you to mow down these zombies on repeat playthroughs. As Grace escaping Rhodes Hill for the first time, it is simple. Get the fuse and open the back gate. First thing you have to do, you have to turn on the hallway light and go to the gate at the end of the hall. Check the drawer and get the cherub key. Use the key and get the lighter, and make your way towards the nurse's station, and trigger Marie's first appearance. And rush to a lit area. She will not come back until you try to get the fuse, so remember that. Go to the nurse's station and get the injector and herb in one of the cabinets before moving the tray. I'd recommend just moving it all the way and grabbing the fuse in the toolbox before hiding, because 2 items will fall always, no matter what you're moving it, so just move it. Once she enters and gets far enough where she can't see you, run away towards the hall where she will break the blocked door and chase you back to a lit area. You can try to run around and get to the fuse if you want by going through the nurse's station, making a circle. She may or may not actually try to chase you though. You have to make sure that she is right on your butt before even attempting it, because if not, she will go right around and kill you. If you don't do that, you can leave towards the hall where she will reappear and hunt you. You can either get her to chase you all around carefully, waiting until she enters the nurse's station and running around her, or using bottles to distract her. Either way, you are in the cherub room, get the fuse, and run and put it in before she gets you. Back to Leon. On a New Game Plus, you do get a BSAA crate here. Do what you will with it. I'd get the shotgun personally for the fat boy in the next section, and to just have. Fight the zombies. Headshots if you can for the one with the chainsaw. You must kill all the zombies here before progressing. So use the chainsaw and wreak havoc, although after 3 or 4 kills, Leon will shove the chainsaw on a zombie and you will lose it. Then use the chainsaw on the door and progress through. Now the meat of the game, Grace's big section in Rhodes Hill. Here you have the Requiem, and you must get 3 cubes to open the door hidden all around the facility in administrators' offices. You have 1 Requiem bullet, so make it count. First you go to the save room area, collect what you can and put the rest in an item box. Only carry the antique coins and the Requiem. You'll need at least 5 slots open. Go into the isolation chamber and get the West Wing card. Head towards the West Wing and go down the hall into the kitchen. The chef will go back and forth between the 2 stoves, so move the cart forward all the way or enough to give you an opening towards the door. He will look back constantly, so just make sure you let go and hide. I personally would kill this light zombie because you will probably come through here a couple of times and it will be a lot easier. Entering the dining room and just run. These zombies will not bother you, and avoid the one crawling under the table. Grab the gun on the ground if you wish. On modern, I would recommend it. Go into the side room, grab the knife there, and go upstairs and dispatch this zombie as well before continuing to the 2nd floor. Make note that this zombie in these stairs has a higher probability of becoming a blisterhead later. Keep that in mind. Go past the bar first, avoiding these zombies as ammo is limited, but up to you. There is a safe in there, and your gun you can pick up with 9 bullets would be nice. Either way, if you choose to take them on, the singing zombie will drop an antique coin if killed. The safe combination is 10, 80, 30, having 3 antique coins. Go into the administrator's office over here where you can kill the zombie if you like, but ultimately as long as you know the code, you don't need to go back there. Moon, sun, star, moon is usually the code. Grab the quartz and find the treasure box in the room to get the jewel. Go back downstairs where you killed the first zombie and go through the other door, which will create the loop where you go and put that jewel in the opening of the gambling room. There are 4 cases locked by antique coins. The 2 that are necessary are the item pouch, which I'm positive is everyone's first choice, and the last one, which allows you to gain more blood for the blood collector. The stabilizers and injectors you can create later. Up to you. If you have the ammo, I'd take care of the zombie, but it's up to you because he won't get up until after the 2nd time you come into the room. Either way, collect the items in the room, including the arm that has the East Wing keycard, and notice that the chef has entered the hall. He will patrol this area until he is killed. Personally, I would avoid him for now, or kill him. It is up to you. It will not be an easy fight. If you have enough ammo, I'd take care of him now because he has the pantry key, which has blood, scraps, and all kinds of ammo, so it is lucrative enough to do so. First, dump your items in the item box that you don't want or need, and continue. Go through to the East Wing, and the next section you can have lockpicks which can open locked doors, which generally have materials to make Requiem ammo. But continue down the East Wing hall into the operating room where there is a silent kill injector that I like calling it. Use it if you want, it's up to you, but open the safe in the examination room, which is 30, 10, 50, which also has 3 antique coins. Either way, get past this room and go straight towards the room with the blood collector. get the blood collector and process the samples here. I totally forgot to talk about the blood collector. It is Grace's means of crafting, effectively. You collect blood from either zombies or buckets or just pools of blood anywhere and use it to make items, ammo, health, and these injector things along with stabilizers and whatnot. Keep that in mind. Or continue down the hall. Kill this zombie if you wish. It would make things easier, but if not, it's fine. Go to the other hall where 3 zombies are coming down. Go through the door to the right before they get there and get the antique coin on the table and go through the double doors on the other side. You can fight those zombies in the room and even use the blind zombie to fight them with noise, as he basically one-hit kills zombies. Again, up to you. If you can, killing them now again will make things easier. Either way, make your way around and go upstairs and enter the researcher's office. The zombies that you didn't kill in the hall, 2 of them will appear at the top of the stairs. I personally would stun them. Either way, grab what items you need and ensure that you have at least 1 spot open. Then go down the hall and grab the wristband before the big guy comes. You have to go around the area because if you go into the administrator's office, he will just go back and forth. Make your way back towards the area the fat boy was eventually. Collect items again, making sure you have at least 1 spot open, and make your way to get the acid. This is tough. The singing lady will awaken the zombies. So tackle this however you want. I'd use the Requiem and line up a shot to get at least 2 of them on 1 bullet personally. But if you are adept, then I would try to do headshots because I will generally do the trick. Either way, grab the acid and make your way out of that tight area. The singing lady will also carry an antique coin as well. Go back to the lead researcher's office and grab the quartz using star, sun, moon, sun. Also getting instructions for the icebox carrying the organ. From my understanding, from this point, blister heads will appear, so be prepared. Use your new bracelet to open all the areas needed. One area has new samples to make ammo and healing items. Others have ammo and another item pouch. And finally another door where a wrench is. Have that in your inventory. What you need to do is to get to the isolation wing, needing 2 organs for that dead body in the examination room. First go through to the garage and get the icebox before the bulldozer attacks.
What the fuck?
One shot will take him down. Crawl through and make your way to the west wing, all the way to the stairs so you can use the wrench on that freezer door. Now use the instructions from the second quartz safe to open up the icebox, giving you the second organ. Now head back to the dead body and put the organs there. Now if you didn't kill the 3 zombies and specifically the surgeon doctor, he will be there with his saw. Also note, he is tough, requiring him to be killed twice basically, but he does drop health. Use the organs and kill the zombie to get his upgraded bracelet. If you haven't, go to the blood collector room and get the samples used to make injectors. Also clean up a path for you and have plenty of ammo, at least enough to take down between 4 to 8 zombies. Now enter the isolation wing and activate the code, needing Emily. Once you leave, zombies will leave the isolation wing, at least 4 of them. Up to you, but if you want to make your game easier, killing them, or at least some of them, will make your game a lot easier. Now go and get Emily. Carrying Emily will be basically a 1-hit kill, so be ready and make a clear path. If you can, killing the fat boy will help, but he requires at least 4 more hemo injectors or a ton of ammo. I believe it's between 4 to 5 Requiem bullets. But he does drop a charm. It is not necessary for him to be killed. Either way, get Emily there and fend off at least 4 zombies. 1 of them, and 1 blisterhead who's usually the administrator that was there, but it could be anyone else. Once Emily gets it, that's the end of Grace's biggest section.
I found this.
Well done, Emily, thank you. Dead.
Leon's next section has him going to find Gideon. Go through opening cabinets with your hatchet all across the clinic, getting ammo and other items. First, beat this zombie. You technically don't have to, just run around and unlock the door and go through, although he does drop a hand grenade and there's a lot of items in the clinic. Whatever zombies you didn't kill as Grace are there for Leon. In New Game Plus, there will be additional points scattered all across the clinic. Either way, go to Gideon's office, kill the bomb zombie, and prepare for blister heads. Again, a shotgun works best here, either picking it up or purchasing it in New Game Plus. And the grenade helps stun them for instant kills. You will kill a total of 5 blister heads in these tight spaces, so utilize all the axes and your weapons effectively and keep moving because they are relentless. Open the elevator once you kill the last 2, ending Leon's section. Grace's section is far more straightforward and includes Marie, again, which makes it a little random, so bear with me. You can run through to the main hub area. There are 3 zombies in here. Personally, I'd get rid of them if you have hemo injectors because these 3 are just annoying and get in your way. Focus on them as the other zombies will not wake up. You must retrieve 3 electrical nodes. The first is there for you. You get it and hide in the first cell as Marie is there. She will appear more randomly in this section, appearing more dependent on your difficulty. Molotovs and a single Requiem shot will stun her, and if done enough damage, will make her retreat. Use this as a last resort. Utilize the lights, in particular this one here in the main hub area, which will light the main area and damage her. Coincidentally, this is also where you probably should go first. Kill the zombie and inject it if you can over here, because this one always comes back as a blister head. Unlock the safe 60, 40, 80 for bullets and then grab the node and go through the vent. At the end, she will leave, but be ready because she will be far more active. Now go to where you first came. If you didn't kill the zombies I told you to kill, 1 or 2 will wake up and impede your way. Use the node here to unlock the security bunks. There are 2 zombies to worry, but other than some supplies, the only thing to get here is the recipe for Molotovs. Make sure to keep this area dark because if it is open, both zombies will come through and ruin your day. Go to the other side and use the node here. Move the box to get the wrench. Marie will drop down and you can either shoot or wait for her to chase you and go through the fence. Marie will appear even more, so be ready. Get your 2 nodes and go through and kill this zombie and unlock this using the wrench. And put the 2 nodes in. Go through and just go straight to the fan to the other side as the bridge always collapses. Then get the forklift key, use it here, and get ammo and a pouch and return the way you came. Be careful of Marie here. Get your nodes, go back to the first area and be careful because Marie is here. Find a way to distract her, either by waiting or going into the vent or just shooting her. You could alternatively go through the back way to the other side using the vent. Either way, use the node and turn on the lights and use the forklift key here and enter the processing area. First, follow the conga line, but be careful they will grab, a zombie will drop, kill it, and move the dolly. Turn the lever and follow the path until you reach the other side of the processing plant. Turn the wheel draining the water and be ready. The processing will go on for about 2 minutes or so just stay back and shoot them in the head and be patient once it's done. The speed at which the conveyor belt will go will be dependent on your difficulty. On insanity, you might as well be running. Go to the other side and grab the last node, and come back through this fan and get caught in a pool of blood.
I got in my mouth.
Drain it if you need blood, but otherwise collect your nodes however you wish, although Marie is now on high alert. In coming back to the processing plant to collect the node, she will drop down after getting the second node, so be careful. Either way, open up the cell and run like the wind. Just remember the path and avoid all enemies. Put Emily down and look down and tap away. But be ready, Marie isn't done.
What's going on?
Eventually, she will burst through and you need to shoot her and distract her at least once, then open the doors the same way. Now, you're free to do and collect whatever you want really, but if you wish to continue, then just use the last court and exit. Go left towards the helicopter because the only thing here is one green herb and that's basically it. Go into the building and go towards the wine bottle, getting the DNA piece, using it on this console here to drop into the lab. There isn't quite much here, some scrap in one drawer, but otherwise just go through and get the key. Now you do have to press the button because going back doesn't really give you the option to use the elevators back up. Once the self-destruct sequence starts, you have to fight your way through. The canisters do very well, but for me, speed is the object here. Just get through this first part by using the tanks and weapons. You're basically just running until you escape. Get to these stairs and stay left to avoid this bad boy, and be careful of this zombie as he is faster than you think. Now back as Leon, you either get the sniper or buy the sniper. Also, if you're buying it, get the scope. Don't forget because you can't come back to it after. Snipe the baddies and do your thing. Pretty simple.
Service. All right.
Excuse me.
And then go to the church. Inside you fight this bloater, which is pretty tough. Utilize grenades, but if you do have powerful guns, hit those spots and explode the boils. But be warned, because they will turn the zombies into blister heads. This is basically just about survival. But explode the boils either by fighting or shooting until they are all dead. Use the fire bombs at will. This will be harder dependent on your difficulty. Good luck doing this on base insanity. Back to Grace, put Emily here and gather all your resources, guns, Molotovs, just in case. But the Requiem, 100% for sure, you will need. First, you have to go to this button and then head down to the power switches. You will get Requiem ammo, which will greatly help, but use it only sparingly and if needed. Now, personally, I always go to the first one because that is the easiest. I would just shoot her with the Requiem and then run and turn on the switch. She will disappear and then head to the second one here and make note of the light, which will help in luring her if necessary. Try the switch first because she will not come down until you try and turn it on. Then proceed to blast her and try turning the switch. She should be stunned just long enough for you to be able to hold the button down and turn on the lights. The last switch is where she will get more aggressive and try to get you, but use whatever you have on her. The switch is not there, so go into the closet and get the crank, where she will always crash through the glass and toss you. You can technically shoot her before she grabs you though, so that you can put the crank in fast and then turn it. If not, you're gonna have to fight your way through her to insert the crank and turn it. Head back up and quickly open the hatch because she is fast and will get you. Shoot her down and you win. Yay! Emily turns and Leon will shoot her. Just try not to miss and you pass the first half of this game. Now, as Leon heading into Raccoon City, there are not a lot of places with hidden items, but search anyway. Once you get here, the spider will attack and knock you into the building. Go to the end of the hall and the spider will attack again. Just run back because shooting won't do anything as this is a scripted sequence and the spider bashes you through the wall. Head towards the door and make your way until you see spiderlings. If you have a grenade, use it and then just take out the rest with your pistol. Otherwise, just shoot them until you can get through. Run here and turn back to avoid getting hit and then climb the ladder. Now, to fight this spider is both very simple and complicated. Shooting the spider will do damage, but not a lot. So hit the weak spot on its ass and shoot it. If you have the Requiem with a couple of bullets, this will go by a lot faster. Utilize the 2 firebombs and keep moving. The spider will eventually leave at one point and try to sneak up on you once or twice during this fight, so just keep moving and shooting. Once defeated, go through and towards the gate and then the BSAA tent. There is a lot of items here, so explore if you will, but this is where you get the first BSA crate if you haven't already gotten it or if it's your first playthrough. Turn on the power and open the garage door here and prepare for a lot of zombies. Slow zombies, but zombies coming up from the ground. They are slow but very powerful, so be ready. Usually the ones holding weapons in particular. Just keep your distance and kill them all because they will climb and chase you if you don't. Shoot this box and climb up the ladder and watch out for these 2 zombies hiding waiting to strike. Shoot down these boxes and be careful of the throwing zombie. Head towards the door, but be careful, another zombie will appear. Get the key and exit, climbing this ladder and progress until you get the first detonator piece. You need a total of 3 pieces and a repair kit in order to blow the gates. Once you're done finding the locations, head down the ladder and use the key on the apartment buildings to progress. There is a lot of hidden ladders and strung up items that carry a lot of goodies, mainly gunpowder, so definitely get those. Go through this door and down the hall where you learn some stealth skills. Inside the garage, you need to open this gate by getting 2 fuses. Does not matter which one you get first, but I always go right and get the hard one out of the way first. Follow the path down until you're in this water treatment area where I grab the wheel and take care of these 2 zombies real quick. There is a big bloater head on the other side, so turn the wheel just a little bit and let go and bring the bloater to this area, as the other area has a lot more zombies and you don't want them turning into blister heads. The only bad thing about this area is that you do not get the firebomb that is on the stairs. But personally, I'd rather deal with 3 blister heads than, let's say, 5 or 6. Kill the zombies with what you have and then turn the wheel all the way. Make sure you do that and grab the items. Deal with the zombies, including the 2 spear zombies that will try to get you. Climb the stairs and get the fuse and head back to the garage and climb this ladder to get to the blocked off section. Here you can be stealthy, which I recommend to save ammo. There are a lot of zombies and they are not well visualized, so I try to take them out silently if you can. Once you reach the lit area, be mindful of one potentially throwing things at you and the spear zombies bursting through the door. Grab the fuse and climb the ladder and go on top of these trucks and use the fuse. Once outside, I personally always go left to do the cutscene, as this gives you the BSA key to unlock the 4 crates in the area. One of them was at the main entrance of Raccoon City, mind you, where you came from. If it's your first playthrough, one of them will have a sniper and even better goodies, so up to you if you need them or not. Mainly because the pathway to getting these crates might be a little more difficult than not. Now, you can get the other 2 pieces however you wish. I think it's smart to get the easier one and closer one out of the way. So go through this doorway and up the stairs where you need a crank. Thankfully, it is nearby. But now you need to deal with BSA zombies. They have body armor and helmets sometimes, so headshots are necessary and they would take a lot more to take down. Some of them will fire guns at you and basically just be cautious in general. They're just much tougher zombies, basically. Dispatch them how you feel. Then on the door, use the crank and get it, and leave it to use it upstairs. But be careful, as zombies with grenades will start appearing, and just shoot the grenades or stun the zombies until it explodes. Go through the gate with the crank and be ready for motor fire. There are 4 of them. You can see here and actually snipe the first one from here. Progress through and be wary of the zombies surrounding you while the motor fires. Hide in the buildings if need be, or just be quick and get up the ladder and enter this building. Turn left and take care of whatever is in the way and up the ladder. Advise, if you want, you can toss a grenade if you have one up there, but personally, was one zombie with a grenade that will be there regardless of you kill it with a grenade or not. You can now use the motor to take down the rest of the zombies to save ammo, and it's pretty cool, to be honest. Or just go through and mow down the other zombies and grab the second detonator piece on the other side. Now, zombies will come, but you have to drop down first and try to leave. You can either fight them conventionally and go through, which can be tough because 1 or 2 blister heads will spawn out of one of them, or go back up and use the motor. Either way, you got this. The last piece requires gas, which you can get at the gas station. Shoot this ladder and climb up, entering the gas station. 1 zombie is here and 1 is on the ground. Get the gas can in the back and be ready. A chainsaw zombie breaks through. Take them down, but don't take the chainsaw just yet. Go outside and shoot the one holding the gas can first, and then take out the many zombies however you wish. Chainsaw and or guns. Which, by the way, you need to take them all out before getting the gas. The fires will continue to grow, so be careful. At a certain point, a larger chainsaw zombie will appear that has to be killed with the chainsaw. There is no other way. It does look cool though, but you have to damage it enough and then use the chainsaw on the monster. but be careful because it is a one-hit kill and he is much faster than you think. Get the gas here and use it to escape. Now before I forget, the crank can be used to open a couple places, and gas can be used in the construction area here. You don't need to do any of this, but it is up to you for more items and or zombie points. But there are a lot of zombies and the pros may not completely outweigh the cons. If you don't, use this switch here to make a bridge back and go back to the first gas gate. Then zipline across. Gather resources and progress through, opening these pathways until you reach this elevator door. Enter and first go left because the elevators will fall one at a time. First the one on the right and then the one on the left. Go through and drop down onto the glass section. Walk only and shoot out the bottom with 2 handgun bullets. Do not use more powerful guns because it could break and then, well, you're dead. Kill them for the points, but all you really need to do is just drop this part and go up taking out the zombies shooting at you and the 1 or 2 zombies holding grenades that will run towards you in this path. Once you are free, go and grab the final piece of the detonator. Getting back is the hard part. Go through and look for the way out. I personally sniped these 3 we can see, and even the fire tank because the zombie will chuck it at you, and you may be in a vulnerable situation when that happens, so you don't need that. Go up and fight a lot of zombies. Just fight and push your way through 2 levels. You can also optionally shoot this box and just skip the zombies, but if you want the points, then fight through. Drop down here and unlock the platform, go through to the other side and shoot these 2 first and aim for the one that's up there first before focusing on the ground level guys, including a blister head. Just be wary because zombies just start appearing. Keep an eye on the 2nd level and take care of those guys as well. Another chainsaw guy appears and he's tough, but you don't need a chainsaw to kill him this time. Preferably kill him with a fire tank. Regardless, go through and drop the platform and go down. Now, this is more time-based, this next section. At least another minute or 2, you'll be on this platform, and the zombies will drop down, and you will need to kill at least between 6 to 8 zombies. I'm not quite sure, I wasn't counting. But eventually you will drop down into the underground. A couple of zombies are right there, so just run through and towards the tunnel. More zombies will come through, at least 10 to 15 or so. Deal with them or not, but if you have grenades, then I would just chuck 1 or 2, see what you can get in terms of points. Either way, go and use the BSA container to repair your kit if you haven't done so yet, and plant that detonator. The motorcycle part is just easy. Just shoot the doggos and reload often. Gideon may or may not fire a rocket at you, depending on your difficulty, so just keep an eye when you see the indicator. Once at the RPD, it is quick. Just go through the west wing doors and make your way to the 2nd floor library to grab the jack. You can explore if you want. There's only 1 zombie. Once you reach the east wing, then you play as the orphan. The orphan section is a bit tedious, so just be ready. First leave and check on the other children, then go back to your room and hide under your bed. Then wait. Wait a long time. Once the kids leave, head downstairs and hide under the table before the children drop. Once the coast is clear and the door ahead is open, run in. There will be 2 kids there. One has to turn around and give chase. Once they do, just run back under the table and wait about 5 seconds, then go back and they won't be there. Inside, find and get the key by first turning on the light and then pulling open the drawer. Go in and try to unlock the bunker door, and as the kid brushes through, just run all the way to the back of the area hiding behind those boxes. Eventually, they will leave. Once they leave and go, unlock the door and hustle, because they can get you and drop down. Go through to this weird underground church section and go straight to the back and wait for the doors to open. Pull the lever and then go into the open area now and pull the caskets until you can reach the very, very top and grab the fire poker. After the cutscene, just go past the first 2 and then you will dodge the 3rd one and then go right to avoid the last kid and then pull down the ladder. Continue through till you reach the power point and that will end this part. Now back to Leon. Mr. X is back and he will chase you through the RPD in scripted sequences. First, he will burst through here, turn around, and he potentially will burst through again unless he is directly behind you. Just try to run through or shoot him and jump the stairs. Go through the office, he will burst through with the helicopter tail. It's ironic, isn't it? Because that's like how the first... Okay, it's the same one from the RE2 remake. Anyways, just go back because it's an instant kill here if he hits you with it. Once he breaks through, shoot him or try to run through. Either way, just get past him. You might take a hit or so. Once outside, explore and get items, and once you go through Kendall's gun shop, it is the Mr. X boss fight. He's both very simple, but with very little room for error. First and foremost, he has a plethora of attacks. He can run, stab, jump, and even chuck cars at you. The car chucking really damages you and stun locks you, so be very careful here. Shoot his heart weakness with your most powerful guns and parry as much as you humanly can. To give an example, 2 or 3 Requiem bullets straight to the heart will put him down for a second, in which you can axe him, just to give you an idea. And you would probably need to do that at least 2 or 3 times. Eventually he will go down. Now, you're going to go through over here to the orphanage and gather items until you reach the subway and the plant section. They have a clear weakness, which is just shooting them when the mouths are open. Sorry if I'm rushing, because at this point the game is a bit on autopilot and everyone's items and ammo are dependent on their difficulty settings. I'm basically just going to do the cliff notes because there aren't a lot of notable things other than items and exploration that are really worthy to pick up, so I'm just going to get to the better strategies and how to actually complete this game. Now, once you gather all your items, go down into the plant hive and deal with these plants. The first couple are standard. Before dropping down here, shoot this one because he likes to sneak attack you. Also be wary of these moving plant ivies on the ground, which is also another sneak attack tactic that they use. These 2 over here are a little tricky. These 2 down here in this area are personally a little tricky, but I think the machine gun works best, and it's no surprise they give you a lot of machine gun ammo. Once you're past all that, shoot these 2 large vines, but they will come back. So shoot them again and be quick, and then drop down for the Plant 43 boss fight. This is as simple as a boss fight can be. The plant will open its mouth and just move side to side when it attacks. I believe 4 really good attacking stuns will then drop the firebomb containers, which you shoot and win. Inside the facility, you really won't be fighting anyone until you reach the control room. Once you reach the control room, here you will fight Umbrella's security forces, and they can be a real pain in the butt. Really tough. Basically, 3 bullets and you're already on red, even on casual. They are hard. Personally, first before they even enter the room, I would chuck a grenade if you have one. It will kill at least 2, if not all of them, and then just use cover and constantly move. Use the shotgun if you're moving. I think that is way more effective because, well, they're humans. Once they are defeated, you will have to go into the next room and face a lot more of them in 2 waves. First, personally, I would bust out the sniper and quickly take out 1 or 2. Once the 2 are dead, and hopefully not a lot of health is lost, they will change their strategy and retreat, which is a nice detail. Then proceed up the ladder and either try to kill them, either conventionally, or release the licker in the room and hide from the gunfire, as the lickers will fight them. Personally, the licker approach is always the preferred approach. The soldiers shoot the licker on sight, and they fight each other. The licker is tough enough to take on at least 2 or 3 of them, thinning their numbers. More will eventually drop down, including the shield guy who goes for you. If you have a grenade, use it. If not, you're going to have to shoot him with the shotgun like 3 times, which will give you enough force that he will recoil to give you an opening. Just do the best that you can, because this entire stretch is one of the harder ones in the game. Continue through until we reach our main man Hunk. His boss fight is going to be very dependent on how well you can parry, so hopefully it is very well. You cannot shoot or attack just straight on. You need to parry, and parry well. Once you parry, you can counter and do a lot of damage to him. Once he starts losing too much health, mix in some gunfire until he breaks the steam valves and goes ninja. Keep parrying him and chasing him specifically, otherwise he will open gunfire on you. And just be ready, because it will take a lot more to parry this time, as he uses 3 consecutive strikes which can put you in the red. Eventually, if you continue this strategy, he will die. Or did he? Because if you go back, he isn't there. Continue to the Ark, and once you go back to Grace, then bring all your guns and ammo, whatever injectors and Molotovs you have. Maybe a couple knives for defense. The first licker, if you can use an injector, do so otherwise. Molotovs or just sneaking around will work. Open the safe, which is 10, 90, and 20. Get the items because you will need them. Keep in mind, these lickers do slightly less damage than the RE2 remake ones, but they can hear you much better, which do not step on the glass. Take the 2 lickers out because they will just be a nuisance. Enough handgun bullets will do the trick too. The lab room has 2 zombies, 1 hidden, so just be careful when grabbing the override key. Go back and just sneak past this licker and open the door for Leon and grab the magnet key. Now you need the red and white orbs. 1 orb is back in the main area you were just at. You can grab either one of them however you see fit. I personally go for the one that I was literally just at. Once you enter the room, 3 zombies will enter and 1 will fall to the floor. Personally, a Molotov here or just shooting them, getting them out of the way works. Note, if you shoot the zombies with the red glass before this part in the other room thinking that these are the same zombies, don't. These are different zombies and it will be a waste of ammo. Go through the door, then place the orb. Open the safe in the monitor room. The control room safe is 50, 60, 80. There are great items here, and grab the recipe for the acid, which is absolutely necessary. Go down the stairs. Once you see the first umbrella pod, start walking. Only there is a liquor around the corner and another one nearby. Use the acid bottle on them, which 1 bottle of acid will do, or roughly 2 Molotov cocktails. Double up on them if you can, basically by throwing a bottle, and hopefully that 2 of them will be on top of each other. There are zombies that complicate it, and I try to avoid them as much as possible, especially the ones in the pods, so do not open the pods unless they are absolutely necessary. Take out the liquors first. The liquors are simple and easy if you have enough acid, which you should. The number of liquors does depend on your difficulty, because I think casual only has 3, and I think modern has 4. If you do have an extra bottle or 2, if you chuck it at a zombie, it may or may not actually lick attack the zombie. It really is just about luck, but otherwise, the acid and Molotovs work very well. Guns are an absolute last resort, mainly because they are just not immediately effective. One of the pods does have another item pouch to get if you want, but we really are near the end of the game, so it's up to you. Finish the zombies if you want, but all you need to do is just collect whatever items you can and go up the stairs and grab the other orb. Once you have the orb, get on the balcony because there are 2 more here. You don't need to kill them because 2 more will jump through the glass regardless, so use the bottles to avoid them or an acid. Once you are back in the lobby, 2 more again will jump out. Avoid them or kill them, but make sure you kill them if you do try to fight them because they will chase you all the way back and you do not want that. Use the orbs and enter. Leon's last section can be difficult dependent on your resources because he has a coughing fit which can happen randomly, and more prominently again dependent on your difficulty. Kill the zombies and gather all your items you can. This will be the last chance you get to use the BSAA box, so fix your armor, pay for ammo and upgrades, and be ready. Once you enter the big room, there are 4 or 5 lickers here you can see and will attack you. You can sneak if you want, but if you have enough ammo, I'd personally just get rid of them one at a time. Use your grenades to your advantage and your shotgun and rifle to your advantage. Again, this is completely up to you because you won't be able to use the BSAA box. So if this is about item resource and management, then maybe trying to avoid them would be the best course of action, which you can do. Although it is very hard. One will always jump out from this vent above, so be careful with that one. Once you drop down, there will be 1 more hidden as well as zombies that break their containment. Dispatch them how you see fit. Use this button opening this space and prepare to fight 2 more lickers, 1 in clear view and 1 hidden behind these boxes. Turn the switch on here and continue forward up the stairs for the other override key. Make it back to the main area and see a room filled with roughly 5 to 6 lickers. Use whatever you have. Grenades work very well, as well as the firebomb to your advantage. Just be ready for a fist fight. Once they are taken care of, use the key and take down another 8 or so zombies with the coughing fit. Gather all the ammo that you can because they will drop a sizable amount of ammo. Continue forward, and then coming back to Grace, simple. Just follow the final path and the final boss battle will begin. Now there are 2 sections to this boss fight. The first is the basic boss fight. He will try to stab you with his tentacle or swing at you numerous times, all of which you can parry. He may or may not pick up a rocket launcher, which if he does, shoot him and you get a free rocket launcher. Yay! Once he starts charging up, he will leap and you can do some damage here while he's charging. He will send a wave of energy via a path which is easy to avoid, and then just start running because he will lunge and ground pound the area which you cannot parry, but you will have enough time to run away. Rinse and repeat probably between 2 or 3 times until you do enough damage for the second part of the boss fight. The second part is simpler. shoot those boils. The rifle and machine gun work well for the higher ones until you injure him enough where the pistol will work better for the lower and smaller ones. He will swing at you, some of which you can parry. If he did drop the rocket launcher, then I'd just use it here, obviously. But if not, just parry and shoot those cysts until he starts swinging at you with a specific animation style that grabs you, which you must escape, and then axe him to death. Ta-da! I want to make this point very clear that everyone plays this differently, but this is the way I personally would play it, and I think if done right, this game generally can be completed in about 3 to 4 hours this way. Now, difficulty differences aren't specifically noticeable between casual and modern difficulties other than the actual enemy difficulty. Casual is, well, casual. It is the easiest and by far the best for those who have zero experience with Resident Evil games, mainly because it is still challenging, but far more forgiving. That's probably the best way that I could put it. Modern is a real normal mode to me. Enemies are more equal and balanced and still forgiving enough, but you have far less room for error than in casual. More blister heads, etc, etc. The modern classic mode is where it's kind of tricky, because I feel the game is a little bit sneaky to me, because this is this game's hard mode. The use of ink ribbons is a bit overblown because generally they are everywhere, and there are enough ink ribbons to save the game at least 25 to 30 times and still save the way you normally would save as Leon. It is just a harder mode in general though. Enemies are more violent, they take more to put down, and they do so much damage. I died during the hunk fight at least 4 times because man, he is hard, and I had to use 4 injectors, those that I had been saving up just for this boss battle. Just fair warning for those who want to do the classic mode, because it is hard and more akin to the older Resident Evil games as a hard difficulty. Now, Insanity. That is a game mode. Here I do have to explain Insanity, because this mode in particular is not only difficult, but forces you to actually change your strategy in more ways than one. First and foremost, the enemies, they're just unstoppable. Playing as Grace, they are generally instant kills unless you have a knife on you to defend yourself. They take so much health and take so much to put down that you must focus on a completely different approach unless you are doing it with infinite ammo, and even then it is still insanely hard because there's zero room for error. One hit and you are dead. So I would try to make those maximum health stabilizers, because if you do that, that might give you a chance. Leon's part is a little bit easier, but you are thrust in with these zombies that will take forever to be put down and do so much more damage than before. Getting hit by a blister head at full health will immediately take you to the red. There are also substantial differences in item placement and or gameplay changes that I should note here that I have found when playing on Insanity versus regular modes. First is that blister heads will appear at the very beginning of your playthrough for Leon in the tutorial section, so just be ready for that. Although you also get far more points as Leon, so you can rely on the crate for ammo and upgrades, which on Insanity is the only way you can get the level 3 body armor, by the way. Aim assist cannot be turned on, you have to do this normally. Grace's section is somewhat greatly changed just to really frickin' F with you. Items are kind of moved all over the place. Examples include the first gun in the dining room is not there. It is in, I believe, the waiting room in the east wing, or just another room in general. The gem box being moved next to the zombie in the first quartz room was just cruel. The gambling room prizes are different. You still get the pouch and the blood collector upgrade, but now they replace the stabilizers with ammo and a knife. Pushing the cart is slow as molasses, and the chef will identify you so much quicker. Zombies are in different places or appear in areas earlier than they normally would. Because it is difficult, killing some of the zombies will actually have them drop antique coins. The singing ones will drop multiple, as well as the big fat boy who will drop like 4 or 8 of them basically. Even in the Redwood Hotel prologue, when you're just walking to the hotel, you can actually pick up a couple of antique coins here too. Although that part I don't get, it's kind of pointless because you can't use them, they're not in your inventory when you get to Rhodes Hill. There is an additional sample to craft which can allow you to make more ammo and RPD knives. Save combos are different in this mode as well. I'll give them here. First, the bar is 20, 50, 30. The exam room is 50, 30, 90. The basement is 70, 50, 20. The sterilization room is 80, 50, 0. And the monitor room is 20, 0, 70. They generally do hold the exact same items though. The bulldozer section will take 2 shots. Even if the guy is shot, you need to shoot the engine of the bulldozer and back up all the way because it will keep going. The chef doesn't drop the pantry key. It is hidden in the waiting room behind the level 1 door and is filled with 3 or 4 zombies, so go at your own risk. Marie spawns like crazy in Insanity. She really hunts you down, and one shot at the Requiem does not work. I believe it's going to be 3 headshots or 2 leg shots with the Requiem that will stun her for a quick moment, as she is a one-shot kill, so do not let her catch you. Online, people say to use Molotovs. I do not use Molotovs personally. I don't think they're effective. I think because she is so much substantially faster that you actually have to land perfect shots to get her every single time, and you won't be able to do that in this mode, trust me. Escaping the self-destruct sequence area is impossible. Enemies will pop up and randomly and impede your escape. Carry health in this section. Sniping with Leon has enemies, including a blisterhead at one point, attacking you, creating an even more annoying experience. Entering Raccoon City, you are immediately met with a bunch of blisterheads and zombies transformed into blisterheads far more frequently than before. Some regular zombies will either be switched to either spiders or BSAA zombies. Hell, there are BSA zombies in the Plant 43 sections. After beating Hunk, soldiers will arrive and attack you. There are far more lickers in Grace's section, and some that literally are in the worst spots to impede you. On Leon's last section, there are more lickers replacing zombies with lickers, so good luck. Not to mention too, when you get to the main lab area, you won't see any lickers. They will just drop down from the vents and surprise you in a moment's notice. I may be a terrible gamer, but this Insanity difficulty is up there with the RE3 remake and RE7 as the hardest difficulty modes in this series. The differences between the perspectives is also interesting that I should note here as well, as this game gives you the option for both. Playing in third person mode is far easier, which is objectively just a fact. Just, if anything, for the field of view you get when playing from this perspective, you can literally see and pick up items easier. And in the first person mode, it's just harder for both, especially Leon's, where enemies will come at you from all angles and you will be surprised by a zombie right behind you that you otherwise would see or notice. The first person mode is far more immersive, just overall harder. So if you wanted a more engaging, intense experience for your first time, then try the first person mode. But if you are wanting to play and enjoy the game and feel more comfortable, then the third person mode is probably the way to go. It is up to you, which is greatly appreciated and optimized well enough that it works for both. I'd argue to do the first person for Grace and third for Leon, but I personally would rather play as both in the third person just because I need all the advantages that I can get. It's a fun game and intuitive enough that I didn't feel the need to chuck my controller at the TV. That being said, even this game's easy mode is hard as balls, so I'm not shocked if people struggle playing this game on easy mode. It's a challenging game and experience, one that I haven't felt since really like RE7. This final section is going to be devoted to everything else and my final general thoughts. I think this game is great, although I do feel conflicted because this is both one of the most RE games I have ever played and one that is also a big and far departure from the ones that came before it as well. What I mean by that is that the game is actually far more grounded in so many aspects and ways, with a far more concise story that it loses its aspects of the cheesy and craziness that made this series popular. The big reason why people hold the original RE4 to a higher degree and standard, because it's a great, fun, yet kind of serious experience where the remake doesn't really have that. It's all serious. When it does get weird and wacky, like the motorcycle part, it comes out of left field and is wacky in a way that I don't think Resident Evil normally would do, if that makes any sense. I would even say that it's a criticism, because that part is actually quite fun the first time and makes for a great thumbnail, but it is so out of place in this game. And that is me saying that when we fight a giant monster plant. It's just a strange overall mixture that feels less like Resident Evil, similar to how I felt about Resident Evil 8, although that is more, I think, setting based than anything else. The other things that did bother me tend to be more of the theories and or the retcons and recontextualizations I had with the story. And it's not even with Spencer, it's other things. Like, was Zeno really a clone of Wesker, a part of the Wesker children? Because I always remembered and assumed that it was just Albert and Alex, I believe, that were the only ones alive, although it is implied that he specifically is a clone of Wesker, one that has more weaknesses but most of his abilities and strengths, because he is afflicted with the progressed T-virus infection, although he seems more immune or far more resistant to it. But it's not fully confirmed. Everything is highly implied with him, which is fine, but that also begs the question, are there more of them? Is he the only one, and was he produced by the connections? Are they going to make more of him? Are they going to revive him? He specifically is a one-off villain at this point, but will we see more variations of him? Not to mention the logic of doing these experiments and not knowing the code for Elpis, or figuring out a way to get Elpis out. I mean, it's just locked in that apparatus, and it seems like they didn't try to take it out by taking the facility apart. I mean, they had 28 years to do so. Also, the affliction from the T-virus infection would also affect other people, wouldn't it? Yet we don't hear a peep or anything with Chris, Jill, Claire, others who were in Raccoon City. Maybe it would have been a great time to bring Carlos back? Who knows? Sherry is the most confusing, because one could argue that her G-virus infection is slowing the progression, but also again, Jake in RE6 was literally brought so that they could use his blood to create a super antivirus because of, and especially because of, his antibodies. If his blood can't overcome the T-virus mutation, then I don't know what will. That is just my opinion. It also begs, I think, an even bigger question of where Resident Evil goes from here, because I think people did not like the recontextualization of Oswald Spencer and found the narrative and timeline confusing now, because this game added elements from both the remake timelines and OG timelines as well. Wolf Squad, for example, being OG, and the RE2 remake of the RPD and Kendo's gun shop being a part of it all. Because Capcom in so many statements does believe that the remakes of their older titles should overtake the original, as the originals just haven't aged well. Although based off of this game, they are fully aware of people like me who do hold the overall timeline, the original games, and the narrative very dearly, that they don't want to lose us as a customer. That is why this game has both Grace and Leon to accommodate the varying gameplay styles that make everyone happy. They're going to be doing a Code Veronica remake and 0 remakes, and likely 1 and 5 coming after. So we will see with what those games produce to get a gauge of what their overall direction is. Because above all else too, these mainline series characters are not getting any younger, and I will not believe a 65-year-old Chris Redfield will take a punch from a tyrant in future titles. Maybe, who knows. Grace is a great addition, but Ethan from the previous mainline titles is dead, and they really need to start building up their future roster with characters we would love and appreciate. Maybe Resident Evil 10 will be a final hoorah on the whole gang, since we haven't seen Jill in a mainline non-remake game since the first Revelation title almost 15 years ago. I just want coherent answers as to whether the remakes are the new timeline over the old games, and Capcom just straddles that line and blends them in a very awkward, and sometimes that will leave people just not happy with this, including myself. I want them to keep the timeline pure and the way it is, because those older titles are generally better stories than the ones we've been given in the remakes, and those games just don't deserve to be forgotten. I'm perfectly fine with a new remake timeline, but keep them separate instead of this blending. It won't make me stop playing these games, but it will dampen my overall experience knowing that this is the direction they're trying to go in. Who knows, I'm just rambling here. I can critique this game all I want, but Resident Evil 9 is still an overall fantastic experience. It's a good mixture of Grace and Leon, although the dividing of their gameplay time is so just awkward, and the two sections with the motorcycle and orphanage just are not going to age well, specifically for future replays and survival horror enthusiasts. Still, this game nails for the most part what it is trying to do, even if it creates a couple of messes that will turn some people off. But the fact that in its first week it sold, I believe, 5 million copies, and as of this recording, which is several weeks after, roughly about 6 to 7 million more copies in about a month, is staggering. People love this game, and it warms my heart that the broader video game community is getting far more into Resident Evil than ever before. The memes are classic, by the way, and Leon has officially ascended to me into the Mount Rushmore of video game characters. If I had to give this game proper grade, I would say a solid 9 out of 10 for me. So solid that I can overlook so many parts of the game that fill me with dread when I replay it. Will this game age well, though? To me, I think this game will age very well. There will be a lot of criticisms of this game in the years to come. That is just what happens. You know, future reviews, people looking back and doing retrospectives on this game 5 years later, and still this game will be very good and very playable. Hell, Resident Evil 6 still to this day has such a fervent fan base, and that to me is one of the worst in this series. If anyone could properly review this game and have any issues overall that will create some debate in the future, I think the only thing that they could really debate or argue is whether this is specifically survival horror, because more than half this game is devoted to Leon, and I promise you, you will not be scared a single moment playing his sections. But for Grace, I think the question would be, is it enough for her and enough of her sections that makes it survival horror? Because to me, her sections are by far the best part of this game. They are pure survival horror, minus tank controls for the purists. Her playthroughs always require necessary awareness of the entire area, enemy placement, and of course, resource management that constantly changes along with enemy changes. Survival horror to me is constant resource management and strategy changing, to go from one moment to the next and to have to regroup the next moment because you were unprepared or messed up on a specific section that required you to use resources that you didn't want to do, and forcing you to change your tactics. To me, it makes it. Her sections make up just enough for it to have this game be a true survival horror game and experience, although my beliefs could change in the future. But for now, I leave you with this. Resident Evil 9 Requiem is great, it's fun, and you should play this to be truly engrossed in one of the best stories in this series. One that makes you feel really, really connected with our main protagonist, and one that makes you wanting more. That makes this a great game. Hey, thank you guys for watching, and cheers to you all.